Live from Angry Ales University, this is Goldmine Live. Your weekly all-access pass inside Charlotte Athletics is brought to you by Ortho Carolina, proud to present the 2016 Charlotte 49ers football season. Bojangles, Academy Sports and Outdoors, your Carolina Ford dealers. Go to yourfordchoice.com and enter the Adventure Ready giveaway to win a 2017 Escape or Fusion from your Carolina Ford dealers. Harris Teeter, University Eye Associates, and by Wells Fargo. Now, here's your host, Bobby Rosinski.
And welcome to Goldmine Live from Ales University. I'm Bobby Rosinski alongside Kevin Donnalley and the head coach of the Charlotte 49ers, Brad Lambert. We'll talk Charlotte 49er football for the next hour as we recap the Louisville game and look ahead to the home opener versus Elon coming up this Saturday night at Jerry Richardson Stadium. Want to get involved? You can tweet your questions to @Charlotte49ers. One disappointment from this show is we won't have Kevin in the Bowtime Challenge, but that will return next week, Kevin.
Bobby, it resumes next week, and I am 1-0. I'm ready to be back in that challenge. Any students want to get involved with that?
You should have challenged Kevin today. Olsen.
No.
Yeah.
I would have been more scared of Casey Perry or somebody like that.
Yeah, no, you don't.
Norm Student Union next Monday. Kevin gets a bye week this week from his victory. Time to rest up, and he'll be back at it next week. Coach, I know not what we were hoping for on Thursday night against Louisville, as the Cardinals would win that game, one of the better teams in the country, of course, 70-14. But give you some extra time off. What was this weekend like? As you got Elon coming up on Saturday, Elon falling to Gardner-Webb 31-6, a game that was tied at the half 3-3. But what did it give you a chance to do this weekend as you have a little extra time to prepare?
Well, heal up, obviously. That's why we like to open on a Thursday night. When Louisville called and said they wanted to open on Thursday, they obviously play on Friday. That's why they wanted to do it. But I like opening on Thursday. Gives you that time for your second game. And we went out on the field, gave them Friday off, got out Saturday morning, got the game over with. You know, that's the one advantage is you can watch the film with the guys, learn from it, try to make corrections, all those things, and get that over with. And then we went on the field for about an hour on Saturday morning, and you know, you get that extra practice in as you prep for the next game. But you know, you're just really trying to, you know, point out things that happened during the game. And the main thing for us was I just felt really we had way too many penalties, you know, and that's a function of first game. It's a function of who you're playing. You know, it was an emotional environment, and we got some penalties that we just didn't need to have. And some of them were questionable, but it's just the way it goes. You just can't hit quarterbacks late, things like that. Hands to the face, it's easy to call when the helmet comes off. So guys are working hard. They're rushing the passer hard, but you can't let your hands get up in the offensive lineman's face. So those penalties. And then, you know, holding's a function of a little bit who you're playing. I was disappointed in the false starts. We had to go to a silent count because of the noise, and that threw our guys off some. And I think we had 5 false starts in there that really hurt us. Those can become drive killers, you know, as you're trying to keep the chains moving, and you get a 5-yard penalty. Now you're in 3rd and long all day. So those are hard to make.
The big pass TL Ford early on. I think Covington had a false start on the next play to back you up 5 yards. What is the one positive you try to take out of this game and show your team as you get ready for the rest of the season when you know you just played a team that'll probably be in the top 10 by the end of the year?
We did win the turnover margin, which was, you know, big for us. We did take care of the ball. I thought our special teams did some really good things. We scored a touchdown in the specials. I thought our coverage stuff was pretty good. I thought Arthur played a pretty good game, our punter. I thought he was good. So there's some positives you can take out of it, no question. The other thing that, you know, especially early in the game, we had some guys running free in their backfield. We just couldn't tackle Lamar. You know, we had Luke back there, first play of the game, you know, unblocked, and you got a chance to make it 2nd and 20, and we missed the tackle. So I think those are the positive things you take from it. But, you know, you can't just assume you're going to run back there, and you got to get your feet hot, put yourself in a position to make the play. You know, you can draw blitzes for a long time to get a guy free, and you know, you got one free back there, and you know, you can't make the play. Now, that's a function of him. And we knew that going in. You know, we knew he would be a difficult challenge. But I thought our guys did some good things up front, you know, defensive line-wise. And early in the game, I thought our offensive line played pretty good. I didn't feel like Kevin was, you know, under a bunch of pressure. Of course, we set the first few drives up, try to get the ball out of his hand pretty quick, you know, so he didn't get hit. But, I thought early on, that the offensive line did some good job protecting.
Yeah, I thought with the offensive line and defensive line early on, particularly on defense, the three guys rushing, even when you didn't bring a fourth rusher or a blitz of some kind, I thought they were matched up very well against the offensive line for Louisville. You got to feel optimistic about that group with the rest of their season and how they're going to play and perform after going against a pretty strong, talented offensive line.
Right, and I thought we did. We got some good push. Larry played well inside. We had some issues with contain. We didn't contain some things real well, and now all of a sudden he gets out. It's hard enough when you do contain it to tackle a guy like that. So we had some Zach Duncan. We had some guys that messed some things up from a contained situation, and we had to start Randy in the game. Mm-hmm. Randy Sunam's a redshirt freshman, and he had to start his first game because we suspended Brandon Banks, for the first half. So that hurt us a little bit. I thought Randy played well, but first college game on the road at Louisville on Thursday night, it was a tough chore for him, but he actually responded and played well. I was really proud of Randy. So we'll get Banks back. We got him in a little bit in the second half. We'll get him back, full-time this week. And so the thing that was encouraging with Randy adding some depth up front, that'll really help us moving forward.
And I thought, while we're on the defensive side, I think what, the quarterback seemed to really be sharp with his throws and was accurate. Last year they really depended on his legs as a true freshman, but coming back this year he's obviously worked on that a lot because when he was able to get it accurately to some of his receivers kind of in open space, those guys were fast and quick and hard to bring down.
Yeah, their skill positions are really good, and they had some old guys out there as well. But no matter what you say, his game is getting when the play breaks down, it becomes a problem for you, and mobile quarterbacks do that to you. He's obviously gotten better. He's a year older. He's a better passer. All those things, but his ability to extend plays and just like we saw Kevin do it on the one that got called back. Kevin's extending the play. All of a sudden he hits Austin. It's a 60-yard touchdown. We got the play called back because of a hold. But when you start extending plays and get outside the pocket, it puts so much pressure on you defensively. It's a huge problem. And Lamar's, that's who he is. I mean, he's a fabulous athlete, and he's getting better as a passer.
How big of a piece can Daquan be for your defense? Because you mentioned it was the first play of the game. Then I think it was the next drive. Play. He came in again. He had a big stop, I think, for a loss later on in the game. But he was the one guy you could see just flying all over the field.
He's a big piece for us. And of all the matchups I liked, I thought he might have the best chance to get Lamar. And that was, part of the plan going in. We try to bring him as much as we can because he's a really active guy. And so he does. He made some lost yardage plays. He's always done that for us, and we'll need for him to continue to play extremely well and make impact plays for us as we move forward. I thought Tyreek Harris, young guy playing in his first game, I thought he did some good things at the other side. Jordan Starnes was banged up going into the game. He had that AC sprain, so we need those guys to make impact plays for us off the edge.
Yeah, and just one comment on Daquan Lucas. It was almost like he had so much energy. He saw that he was going to be that guy to hit him, and instead of kind of, like you said, keeping his feet hot, he wanted to go for that kill shot. And I appreciate that, but that's too good of a mobile quarterback to do that on.
It is, no question. You've got to come to balance, get your feet moving, and really, put yourself in a position to make a play. And really, you're going to have to put your eyes on their thighs and those type things and tackle the thigh board to really get a guy like that on the ground.
It's Goldmine Live here from Ailes University. One more thing on the defense, and then we'll take our first time out. But the play that seemed to just kill throughout the game was the quick swing outs to the running backs. I don't know if it was Carrington King maybe on the first two, but what did you see looking back on the tape where Louisville quick passes out that got them touchdowns?
That was a major mistake on our part. Carrington just was trying to do too much. It's a classic case of trying to hold off another route when you're just supposed to do your job. And we thought we had it corrected, but it happened 3 times in the game and really was upsetting. And Carrington knew I wasn't real happy with him because that's a basic thing. And, I've coached linebackers pretty much my whole life. And so, I was a little frustrated with him because it shouldn't have happened. And those are big plays that, if you just do your job and make the tackle and you never know what happens on the next play, and that's what guys got to understand, and Carrington's got to understand that he's played really well for us in the past, and it's a classic case of he was trying to do too much over there. He was trying to, hold off a wide out on a curl route or a slant route, and he was trying to, rough him up. And while he's doing that, the quarterback's just dumping the ball, and now all of a sudden we got an issue, and so we've got to have that one corrected.
How have you seen Carrington? Because he's one back 2014, I think Campbell and Nick Cook went down, and all of a sudden he was just thrust into action and has been out there pretty much consistently for you. Been some other veterans above him, but have you seen his development?
It's been really good up till Thursday night. I've been really pleased with him, and humble pie can come in big pieces sometimes, and that's what happened to him the other night because he's played at a high level for us. He's a really good player. He walked on here. He's gotten a scholarship. He's gotten he's earned everything he's gotten and has done really well for us. And for us to be successful on defense, we need for him to play well this year. And so he knows that, and we've talked to him, and he'll play better, no question.
All right, it's Goldmine live from Ailes University. We'll take a timeout. More to come with the head coach of the Charlotte 49ers, Brad Lambert, here on the Charlotte 49er IMG Sports Network.
Sophie, his 13th birthday. Gift, we've got you. Guitar, coming tomorrow. Road game today, surprise party tomorrow. Change of plans. Game tomorrow.
No, birthday tomorrow.
Hotel. Guitar, reroute.
Birthdays are on birthdays.
Party, relocate. UPS My Choice makes rerouting packages easy. How we're helping companies solve for the needs of customers like Sophie.
And we're back here at Ailes University, Gold Mine Live. Bobby Rosinski, Kevin Donnalley, and the head coach of the Charlotte 49ers, Brad Lambert. And you can tweet those questions into at Charlotte 49ers if you have a question for Coach Lambert here. We'll be with you till 1 o'clock. We focused there on the defense, Coach. On the offensive side, kind of touched down. There were some plays out there. Unfortunately, some false starts took them back. But looking at wide receivers, T.L. Ford seemed to make his name known to the Louisville Cardinal defense. And so what did you see from him and the expectations for him the rest of the season?
Yeah, I thought T.L. came out. He's been a good player since he's got here. We got to find ways to get him the ball. He's a guy he's long and athletic, and I thought he really was playing well. He was really into the game, and so we got to continue to get him the ball and find ways to get him the ball as we move forward because he needs to have one of those years for us, especially with Trent's situation now. Getting his fourth concussion, so we don't know what's going to happen with Trent moving forward. So that's kind of a dicey situation. So we need T.L. Warpay, Uriah, Juwan Fogg. We need all those guys to step up, and I feel really good about that group and their ability and their length and their athleticism. But T.L.'s kind of that lead guy right now. And
then you had Austin, who last year, probably not the year he wanted, but 5 catches in this game, including the great touchdown catch on a gorgeous pass from Kevin. How big was that to see Austin Duke kind of being that guy that you'd seen those first few years? Well, it was nice because we've seen that all August. He's been healthy, and, we need for him as well. He plays that slot position, so that's a critical position for our offense. Try to get the ball in his hands different ways. You're always looking at, okay, how do we get the ball to Khalif, Austin, T.L., and Trent when he was in there, things like that. How do you get the ball in those guys' hands? And so, Austin's going to be critical for us, and that was nice to see him break through. Kevin put a nice ball on him, and he made a good play down the end zone.
Yeah, I think what's encouraging when you look at the receivers is you could see some trust as the game built, between Kevin Olsen and the receivers that maybe they just need those live reps together.
Sure.
You've done the practice, you've done spring ball together, but that was the first action that he was out there with Kevin throwing it, and it's a trust factor, just knowing that when that ball comes out that it's going to be there for them to catch.
Yeah, no question. And I thought, Kevin's first game, it felt really good, from an on the field, on the sideline standpoint. I thought, the environment wasn't too big for anybody, and I thought our guys they stayed in the game and never quit. They stayed right there. Everybody was good on the sideline, talking to each other. At the half, we were good. The guys talking about, hey, look, this is just one drive at a time, and go out here in the second half and try to get better, and that bodes well for you as you move through the season. And as our guys were talking at the half, everything after the game is everything's still in front of us. All our goals that we talked about as a team, everything's still in front of us, and And I told them this morning on the practice field that all starts Saturday. Our prep this week is real critical to how we play on Saturday, in our home opener.
The offensive line coach, I don't know if there's a tougher task than the O-line going up against Louisville, who has some of the best players in the country on that defensive line. That defense has been great for the Cardinals, really since Bobby Petrino returned there the last few years. You mentioned earlier they seemed to hold up well early on in the game, giving Kevin some time. I thought Khalif had some holes early on and picked up some yards, but just overall, your thoughts on the offensive line?
Yeah, I thought they did some good things. I was, when you go back and watch it, it was a tough task, blocking that front seven, but I thought they did some good things. Eugene had to break down they brought a blitz from the field, and he just was a little bit late getting out of his set. That's a function of who's blitzing a little bit too, and so we've got to continue to get better there. But I saw some good things in that offensive line. They were physical, and they weren't backing down from anything. So we got to continue to progress as that group. Jamal looks like he's going to be out this week. Kind of re-irritated that patella tendon. He's had that issue last year, so. We'll see how he comes back, and so I thought Eugene and Chris Brown came in, played really well. We're gonna have to bring around, Cam Clark's gonna have to come along for us now and really add some depth in that O-line. But I thought those guys held up pretty good.
Yeah, and I think something to really hang your hat on is the fact that they had 7 or 8 starters back from last year on that defensive crew, and then 92 was a stud over there, and I didn't feel like at any time it was just guys running free back there. The guys just kind of held their own. It wasn't, like you said, too big for them. And there was moments last year, that some of the teams they played, FIU was one that comes to mind, that they had some stud pass rushers that just were getting a lot of pressure all game long. That didn't ever really seem to happen, and it has to be encouraging.
Yeah, it is, but that's a function of when we made this jump. That's the biggest difference is the defensive fronts. I mean. Louisville's got 2 linebackers that are, they're all ACC guys, so they're going to be competing with Clemson and Florida State and people like that. We're in game 1 of year 4. For us, I mean, the history of our program, with 3 years in a game, so it was a tough task for our guys, going up against a team like that. But it was a good environment, and it was a good learning process for our guys. And like I say, humble pie comes in big chunks sometimes, and our guys got to see, hey, whoa, this is big time ball right here. So on a Thursday night against a really good football team, so we gotta take some things away and learn and grow and get better.
I know injuries are never good, but last year I think we saw 6 different starting offensive lines you had throughout the season. So with Jamal going down again and at least going to miss this Elon game, how important is all those guys when you look down? Pretty much every player that can sub in for you has experience.
Yeah, that's hopefully what we're at that point now where we're in year 2 of 85 scholarships, where we do have a little more depth, and so when that happens, next man up, and you got to go in and perform. So it's having 4 seniors in there, that's going to help us. But Nate Davis may have to swing a little bit, play a little tackle. He's an athletic guy. I think can play inside or outside. So we'll have to look at some different lineups here, going forward till we get Jamal back.
I saw Navy pull a quarterback from the stands. You can always pull Kevin from the booth and see if he can help out on the offensive line. All right, we're continuing here. Goldmine live from Ailes University, hanging out till 1 o'clock more with the head coach of the Charlotte 49ers, Brad Lambert, next here on the Charlotte 49er IMG Sports Network.
Sophie, his 13th birthday. Gift? We've got you. Guitar? Coming tomorrow. Road game today, surprise party tomorrow. Change of plans. Game tomorrow.
No, birthday tomorrow.
Guitar. Reroute.
Birthdays are on birthdays.
Party. Relocate. UPS My Choice makes rerouting packages easy. How we're helping companies solve for the needs of customers like Sophie.
The Student Athlete of the Week, sponsored by Ortho Carolina, the official team physician of your Charlotte 49ers.
Time once again for our Student Athlete of the Week segment. My guest is on the women's soccer team. It's Kyla Clark. And Kyla, still a young season, but you guys have a few games under your belt now. Just tell me, how are you and your teammates feeling about the young season?
We're feeling great. We have great new additions this year. Our freshmen, they came in ready and prepared, and we're just ready to go.
And as someone who's been on the team for a few years now, just how has it been trying to integrate some of those freshmen and kind of make them feel at home? Maybe for some of them, this might be their first time away from home, so it can be a little scary for them.
It went very well. We started off our trip to Europe, and that helped immensely with team bonding, and they've settled in quite perfectly.
Tell me about that trip to Europe, too. 'Cause, I mean, what an exciting thing for college athletes to get to do. You get to play great competition over there and really kind of become a team before the season starts. Just tell me about kind of some of the things you guys did over there and what it meant to you to get to make that trip.
It was great. We actually got to sightsee along with the soccer aspect, and we got to see some new competition. We did better in one game than the other, but I mean, it's all part of the process.
And how do you think seeing some of that really top-notch competition, some European competition where soccer is so big for them, what do you think that did to make you ready for the season?
We actually got to see some of the games, and it was great. I mean, just makes us even more ready. We're going to get going.
Tell me, away from the field, what are you majoring in, and why did you decide to go that route?
I'm majoring in psychology. I want to go on to PA school, and I'm going to be a minor in biology. So that route helped me get my classes done for my major along with my prerequisites.
Certainly can be a heavy class load with psychology and biology. How do you find the time to go to class, do your homework, be a Division I athlete, and who knows, maybe even have a social life in there?
Just be very structured and disciplined. I actually like being in season better because I have to stick to my work. When I have free time, it gets a little crazy.
Well, Kyla, we appreciate you taking the time to talk with us. We wish you the best of luck on the rest of the season, and best of luck with those studies too.
Thank you.
That's Kyla Clark. She is on the women's soccer team, and she is the Student Athlete of the Week.
This has been the Ortho Carolina Student Athlete of the Week, brought to you by Ortho Carolina, the official team physician of your Charlotte 49ers.
And welcome back here to Goldmine Live from Ailes University. Bobby Rosinski filling in for Matt Swearad. Matt might be back next Monday. We'll see how the Charlotte Knights, where they are with their season. Kevin Donnalley, and now joined by the quarterback of the Charlotte 49ers, Mr. Kevin Olsen. Kevin, first start with Charlotte this past Thursday against Louisville. Just what was that experience like, being the starting quarterback for Charlotte against, we know, one of the better teams in college football?
Yeah, I think it was exciting, I think to say the least, going out there in front of a big crowd and a big time stadium, and obviously against the team like we played, it was exciting. We knew they were going to be tough. We thought we had a good plan going in. I still think we had a good plan going in, and we just took it for what it was.
What is your takeaway now as you guys get ready for the rest of the season? Elon coming up on Saturday that you can take from that Louisville game and try to attack it moving forward.
Yeah, I think there's a couple. I think we won a couple small battles along the way. I think we obviously got away from us early, and I think we had a couple good plays in there, and we executed a lot of stuff, and I think we were close on a lot of plays, to breaking them and having some explosive plays, and I think that we can build on some of that stuff moving forward.
Yeah, and I thought you played, it looked like you were poised early on, which was good to see, and you threw some accurate passes. I think the best thing, though, no turnovers, no interceptions, and it had to feel good that you go against a big-time team that's very talented on the defensive side and be able to throw fairly accurately against them and not turn the ball over.
Yeah, I thought that was huge, going in there. I knew that, especially against a team like that, obviously against any team, but when you're playing like Louisville with the kind of guys that they have, that, the number one thing you do is, you can't turn the ball over, especially picks. Sometimes fumbles happen, you can't see it, you fumble, it is what it is, get ready to play the next play. But, I knew going in there that, throwing picks was, definitely not something that we could do.
Now, and the one turnover you had was the fumble that was caused by the protection breakdown. But it felt like you guys remained under control. You came out, you had a productive second half. You got some really good reps in there. So it had to feel like, you survived, that wave of all that pressure, a lot of guys coming at you, and still was able to get some points in the second half and feel good about some drives that you were able to finish off.
Yeah, after that sack, we patted them on the back and said, all right, guys, we're fine. That stuff's going to happen. They got good players, and that stuff's going to happen. And we went out there, and I thought the way we responded on the offensive line, the way we responded, at all the positions, I think, and we never gave up. We started, we kept our plan, and I think, in the second half, we actually had a lot of things that we could build off of.
And in that second half, you had the touchdown pass to Austin, a gorgeous pass, great catch by Duke as well. What was that moment like? I saw you kind of run over to your family that were there in the corner of that end zone, but getting that first touchdown pass.
Yeah, that was huge, trying to get that one out of the way. you know, it was nice to have my dad there. You know, obviously they've supported me, you know, throughout all the stuff that I've been through, and, you know, having them there and seeing them right there that I scored was kind of, you know, it was really nice, to finally get that one.
Did you get the ball? I saw like the trainer. I don't think the trainer had ever been asked that before, so I saw him walking around with the ball. He seemed to look confused at the time, but did that ball make it back here to Charlotte?
Yeah, it did. You know, I made a promise to my dad, you know, a long time ago that the first pass, you know, the first touchdown pass I threw that I was going to give to him, you know, it's probably, you know, 4 years too late now, you know, 4 years later than we expected, or 3 or so. So, you know, I made sure that I got that, you know, ball, and it's, you know, it's back here, and it was actually his birthday yesterday. So it kind of, you know, all fell into place.
No, that is pretty cool. Mentioned Austin, and I remember talking to you at Media Day, and this was a guy who's been the big play wide receiver for Charlotte since football started, and you got 5 catches to him, including that touchdown. How has that relationship worked with Austin Duke, and knowing that the special big play ability is there for him?
Yeah, you know, obviously me and him, you know, to start off, we're great friends. You know, we're best friends, and, you know, I think that helps our chemistry on the field. Obviously, you know, the way he plays speaks for itself. You know, the way he can run is, you know, is something that you can't teach, and the way, you know, he has great hands, and, you know, he's played a lot of games. He's an old guy, you know, he's seen a lot of stuff, and, you know, having him out there is huge for us on offense.
What about TL4? Just the size there. You had that one big pass to him early on in the game, and he just seems like a guy that, as this season goes on, can kind of be that big target for you.
Yeah, you know, for sure. I think TL's for sure one of our, you know, he's big, like you said, he's lanky, you know, he can go up and get the ball, but he's also physical, you know, and he's got a lot of those attributes that, you know, that he's down the road, he's for sure going to be, you know, one of our guys.
Well, you know, not just the guys downfield, you were able to target some guys coming out of the backfield, and it's got to feel good that you can get it to those guys and they're going to make some positive yardage down the field. Was very impressed with particularly the 2 young guys, Ben LeMay and Robert Washington. Their hands, Ben LeMay had a couple of catches. It was good to see them, you know, pull those things in, get downfield. It's another weapon for you to use.
Yeah, no doubt. You know, backs that can catch the ball coming out of the backfield is a huge thing. You know, no matter what league you play in, if your backs can catch the ball the way ours do, all 3 of them, you know, Khalif, Matt, Benny, and Rob, all 4 of them, you know, they all have great hands, and, you know, that really, you know, that puts a pressure on the defense, knowing, like, hey, guys, these guys are, you know, they're good receivers too now. We can't always leave them open.
You get Elon now for the first home game. Elon coming off a defeat this past weekend to Gardner-Webb, 31-6. Gardner-Webb, a big running team. But I know you guys starting to prep for the Phoenix. What do you see with Elon for your first home game?
Yeah, you know, I think we're going to have the same plan. You know, we're going to go in there. You know, today we had our meetings. You know, we got our, you know, our base runs, our base passes in, and you know, based off of the stuff that they do, and, you know, they're gonna come to play. You know, they're a good football team with, you know, good players, and we're gonna have to bring our, you know, our best. You know, our game plan's gonna be good. Coaches have that down, and you know, that's, you know, we're confident in the game plans that we're gonna have, and I think that, you know, we're gonna have a big game.
What's the feeling inside, you know, in the first home game for the Charlotte 49ers? Sure, your family will be there. Your brother, I'm sure, might have an opportunity with the Panthers playing on Thursday night, but to be stepping out there first home game as the quarterback of this team.
You know, I'm really looking forward to it. You know, I'm really looking forward to that Niner walk, and, you know, having a lot of people out at the games, and, you know, kind of seeing for, you know, what it's all about, and hopefully, you know, give, you know, the fans some, you know, joy in us, you know, winning, and, you know, having explosive plays, and, you know, kind of keeping them on their feet. And, you know, I think it's going to be a pretty good night.
Yeah, and I think, you know, you need to just talk to some of the guys that have been here, because we lost to Elon a couple of years ago, and this is a team that, you know, it's well coached. They have a lot of good players. Coach Lambert will tell you that. These are guys that work very hard. They're college athletes, and they certainly can embarrass you and humble you quickly if you don't pay attention to it. So I know they'll be talking to you, but you have to feel good that you get to come back home. You know, you survive Louisville without getting a ton of injuries on the team. I mean, for me, I was waiting to see, you know, how we came out, I think, physically. You got to feel good about the plan this week and feeling like, you know, all right, we survived a big test. Now it's time for us to begin our season now.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. You know, just like Coach said to us after the game, you know, no matter what happened in that game, you know, everything that we set out to be when I first got here in the spring, and we had that first team meeting, and we said, hey, here's our goals for this and that, and moving forward, all those goals are still just as attainable and just as clear as they were before we played Louisville. So I think that's huge, and you know, I think moving forward that's a huge thing to have in the back of our heads.
Kevin Olsen, your starting quarterback for the Charlotte 49ers. The home opener against Elon this Saturday. Kevin, appreciate your time.
Thank you.
There you go. Kevin Olsen as Goldmine Live continues here from Ailes University on the Charlotte 49er IMG Sports Network.
Sophie, his 13th birthday. Gift? We've got you. Guitar? Coming tomorrow. Road game today. Surprise party tomorrow. Change of plans. Game tomorrow.
No. Birthday tomorrow.
Guitar. Reroute.
Birthdays are on birthdays.
Party. Relocate. UPS My Choice makes rerouting packages easy. How we're helping companies solve for the needs of customers like Sophie.
And we welcome you back. Goldmine Live from Ailes University. Bobby Rosinski, Kevin Donnalley, and rejoined by the head coach of the Charlotte 49ers, Brad Lambert. Thanks for Kevin Olsen for joining us. I know you touched on Kevin earlier, but just what's he mean to this program? And just watching some of those out passes he threw, great arm strength, the deep ball to Austin Duke, making plays happen, the TL Ford first big catch. Just seems like he brings a lot to this offense.
Yeah, he does. He's a talented guy. Brings all that, all those things, that you want in your quarterback. But for me, he's fun to be around every day. I just, he just handles the whole game, the moment, the practice. He's done a really good job with our team since he's been here, and he's just. I look forward to seeing him every day. So he's from Jersey and I'm not, and so we have a good time together. So it's been a lot of fun, and we need for him to play extremely well this year for us to be successful.
I was born in Jersey, but my parents got me out of it for about 3 months, and I was no longer there. Hassan, you did get into the game late there in the fourth quarter. I think just 3 snaps. But anything you can take away from just 3 snaps, or just about getting him live reps?
We just really wanted to get him in the game, in case something were to happen. So we just said, hey, look, let's play him here late. Didn't make a great read. Probably should have gave it instead of pulling it on the one zone read, but we just wanted to really get him in the game, and in case something were to happen, if Kevin got hurt, it's first time in the game, and we just wanted to get him in.
And for Matt, ran the ball a few times, had one pass, almost a touchdown at TL Ford. The Louisville defender did a nice job of getting his hand in and knock it out. But is that what you're expecting from Matt, the role he played?
Yeah, no question. And we want to, keep expanding his role. And I'd like to get him in at running back some. We didn't get him in at running back. I'd like to do that some and continue his role as, especially in the red zone down there, when you're trying to, use an extra guy to run the ball. And he was, on our punt team. He gives us a lot of options on our punt team. You can see we've changed our punt team from last year, more formations, huddling, trying to create some more mismatch. We ran the fake the other night, and it was there, and we didn't execute. We missed a block, but it was there, and the way we had prepared for it, and just felt really, was trying to change the momentum at that point in the game, and it was open, and if we, Bum just missed the block. He wasn't trying to do bad. He missed the block, and so it didn't work. But we're going to continue to try to do things like that, especially with Matt.
Well, speaking of Matt, it's going to be hard to find him carries because we spoke with Kevin about this. The running back situation, what you got with Khalif, and he's going to bring it every week, every play. But seeing the other 2 young guys go in there and perform pretty well against, they're 18-year-old kids going against these 3rd and 4th year guys for Louisville that have been, all these returning starters. You got to feel good about Ben LeMay and Robert Washington.
Yeah, no question. They didn't look like they were out of place. That's for sure. They went in, and the play that really stuck out at me was Ben LeMay ran it up in there, and somebody really put a good shot on him, and he just shouldered him. And he's a physical runner. He's so low to the ground. Both of them are. Both got good power, good feet, good eyes. So I feel really good about our depth at that position right now, and we wanted to get them both in the game. We had a little package where they both were in there together, and we want to continue to build on that. But those 2 guys moving forward, that's going to be a good thing for us as we progress through the season.
Yeah, you guys love to run the ball. It starts with the running game. You want those guys up front to open up those holes, but they're going to be a big part of the passing game, I think, too. A couple of nice receptions, some soft hands they showed, and made some good gains.
Yeah, no question. And always the problem always for a freshman is, pass protection. You know this in the past. When there's a sack in the game, it's always the O-line's fault. It's always the O-line's fault. Well, a lot of times it's not. The running back is involved in the protection scheme. The quarterback's involved in that. Did he get the ball out? Did he send it where it was supposed to go? Did the running back pick up the right guy? And that's always the issue with freshman running backs, is making sure that they can handle all your protection stuff when you throw the ball. And those two guys have picked it up pretty good. I've been proud of them, and we'll just continue to see them their role get more and more as we move through the season.
Usually if Kevin gave up a sack, it was his fault for the offensive
quarterback
line.
held the ball too long or something.
When that happened. Number one question I've seen to my Twitter at Charlotte 49ers is Robert Washington, the health of him. A couple different times he went down. I think once the knee, and then it was the ankle, and the ankle seemed to keep him out the rest of the game. But what's his status?
And he probably could have come back in the game. It looked really bad during the game on the field. I thought he broke his leg. It looked really bad, and he's going to be fine. I think he'll be able to go this week. And he had an ankle sprain, and so he's been getting treatment, and he was out there this morning. So I look for him to be ready to go. And I really was encouraged the way he looked. He really ran the ball well, and that's going to take a lot off of Khalif. That's going to allow Khalif to stay fresh, and so that's just a good situation right now.
Yeah, Washington, 5 carries, 33 yards in this game, so he looked really good. And Khalif, I think there are a couple penalties might have taken away some of the bigger runs Khalif had in this game. We'll take a timeout. More to come here as we continue at Ailes University. It's Goldmine Live on the Charlotte 49er IMG Sports Network.
Sophie, his 13th birthday. Gift, we've got you. Guitar, coming tomorrow. Road game today, surprise party tomorrow. Change of plans. Game tomorrow.
No, birthday tomorrow.
Guitar. Reroute.
Birthdays are on birthdays.
Party. Relocate. UPS My Choice makes rerouting packages easy. How we're helping companies solve for the needs of customers like Sophie.
And we continue here, Goldmine Live from Ailes University. Bobby Rosinski, Kevin Donnalley, and the head coach of Charlotte 49ers, Brad Lambert. The home opener coming up this Saturday against Elon at 6 o'clock at Jerry Richardson Stadium. Before we turn our focus to Elon, one thing I noticed coaching-wise was Coach Mullen was in the press box for the first time I've seen it. What led to that change? Was that just his decision to get a different view of the game?
Yeah, it was really his decision. He likes being in the box. I always, when I called defenses when I was an assistant coach, I always liked being in the box. You feel like you're sitting in your office. It's just a lot calmer, and so he just felt like that. He wanted to be up there this year, and so it's worked out good. I think it'll be good.
All right, looking ahead here to Elon. Elon falling 31-6 to Gardner-Webb, but a game that was tied at 3 at the halftime, and then their quarterback Connor Christian left with a shoulder injury. Daniel Thompson played the rest of the game. Gardner-Webb was able to kind of run all over them in the second half. But as you look to the finish, you get a chance to check out any of that game on Saturday, and just first thoughts on Elon.
Well, we've obviously watched the film a lot, watched the game. Live was on TV. But, the one area that I really was impressed with is I really like their offensive line. I mean, they got some guys back. They're big. They're physical. They had some mistakes in the game. And I told our team today they were probably looking at us. I mean, they beat us 2 years ago, and it's a chance for them to get an FBS win. And they're coming in. It's in North Carolina, so – they might have actually, been looking past Gardner-Webb and looking at us. So, but their offensive line is, I was really impressed with them. And their defensive line, they run a lot of guys in there, but they play hard. Rich has done a good job since he's been there. They've recruited well. We come across them, in North Carolina recruiting. So, this will be another game for us. That's just our next opportunity, and they beat us 2 years ago. So, we know what's at stake. We recruited against them with a lot of guys on our team. So it's just the nature of us starting our program. And so we're going to have to show up and play extremely well. And it's the first time, this year in front of our home crowd. So we want to give our people a lot to get excited about.
You mentioned 2 years ago, and that was a game I believe had the ball late, driving in their territory. I want to say it was a crazy last play of that game, if I'm not mistaken, with Matt Johnson at quarterback for you. How much does that game, still in the mind? Not every player the same here still, but looking back, knowing that's a game, hey, we probably should have won on the road.
Yeah, no question. That's a tough one. We turned it over a bunch that night, and they didn't move they moved the ball, but it was in short dose, a lot of dink and dunk and here and there, and so we didn't get off the field in some situations, and we turned it over way too much and felt like we had a chance to win that game, and we were 3-0 at the time, and that was a big loss for us, and so they're going to come in with a lot of confidence that they can play with us and win the game, and so our guys, we're going to have to, as I told our team this morning, our mental preparation's got to be on point this week as we get ready to give ourselves an opportunity to win a game on Saturday.
Well, that's what I wanted to ask. What do you tell these guys all week long? Because they got to feel they went against Louisville. All right, it was a bad game for them, but they went against very talented guys that they don't have a letdown where they think they can just show up on Saturday. What do you just keep pounding into guys?
Well, you show them Richmond versus Virginia. Everybody has good players in today's. This is as balanced as college football has ever been. Everybody's got good players, and Richmond went to Virginia and beat them 37-10 or whatever it was. I mean, it was they went up there and beat them, and that's a really good league that they play in. Elon's in the Colonial Athletic. It's been a good league for a long time, so they won't be intimidated by us. And their advantage is they've played against us and beat us 2 years ago. So there's plenty of motivation on our side. All we got to do is get that film out from 2 years ago and watch it with the guys. So it's about how this game's just like it's just the next game, and you got to, everything you do from a mental intensity preparation standpoint, it's got to be on point this week to give us a chance to be successful on Saturday. It doesn't matter who you're playing. And so there's all kinds of motivational, points in this game just because it's, we've played them before, but these guys will be ready to play. Rich has done a good job, and he'll have them ready to play.
Well, it's, you just have to look to the top 20. I think 15 of the ranked teams lost in a situation where they were the favorites. And I think any given Sunday or Saturday is what you can say now for college football, because they really can. Like you said, that the talent is very close and equal amongst a lot of these teams. But it's got to feel even closer when it's like you said, just up the road.
Yep.
But I think that leads me to my question. It's good to have them back home. You had to travel there 2 years ago, get that first home game against them. And then what leads me is thanks for getting that 6 o'clock start time. I think that's fantastic. The kids at the school, the students at Charlotte want these later games so they can have some fun tailgating, be a part of the 49er walk. All the traditions, all the things you're trying to start for this program, they're going to be actively involved on Saturday. It's looking like it's going to be a great day for the students.
Yeah, no question. We're going to need our student body out there. It's a good time for our fans. We those first 2 years, we had all those noon kicks, and then last year we had a Friday kick, and you see the FAU game last year. We had our first home night game, and what a great crowd that was. So, we want our fans to come out, our students come out, watch us play, and we got to go out there and give them something to stand up and cheer about.
Well, your home schedule features 4 games at 6 o'clock, and the final 2 are at 2 o'clock, so none of them are really that early. So the students have no excuse this year, right, Coach?
Yeah,
come on out and support the team.
Yeah, just come out and have some fun. You watch different games on TV all weekend, and just a fun piece of college football on a Saturday when you're watching Texas's student body last night. And so come on out, have a fun day tailgating. And as I said when I first came here, the more chaos, the better. We want campus to be crawling with people, and then come out, come to the game, and then our job's to go out there and win the game and give our fans a lot to cheer about.
And the weather should be good. Looks like low 90s, but sunny on Saturday for the home opener at Jerry Richardson Stadium. Golden Line Live brought to you in part by Sharon View Federal Credit Union, a proud partner of the Charlotte 49ers. Members get your free football tickets before supplies runs out. Learn more at your local branch. One more segment to go here from Ailes University as Golden Line Live continues on the Charlotte 49er IMG Sports Network.
Sophie, his 13th birthday. Gift? We've got you. Guitar? Coming tomorrow. Road game today, surprise party tomorrow. Change of plans. Game tomorrow.
No, birthday tomorrow.
Guitar. Reroute.
Birthdays are on birthdays.
Party. Relocate. UPS My Choice makes rerouting packages easy. How we're helping companies solve for the needs of customers like Sophie.
Goldmine Live continuing here at Olsen University. Bobby Rosinski, Kevin Donnalley, and the coach of your Charlotte 49ers, Brad Lambert, here for one more segment. And, Coach, we talked about Coach Mullins going up to the press box, but also a couple new additions to your coaching staff this year. What was your thoughts on the debut of the new coaches for you?
Yeah, Coach Hood was up top with Coach Mullen as well, and he really has had a big impact in our special teams. So he and I were communicating a lot during the game. That communication went really well. I wasn't sure, when you bring new people in, how that works and getting your guys out there and making sure. We had the one issue, we sent our punt team out there and Bolus didn't go. Now, it wasn't he just didn't go out. He was out there on offense and he got frustrated with the play, and then he lost his mind, so to speak, and didn't go back out for the punt. But I thought that communication went really well. I think that Coach Edmonds, he's done a fabulous job with our outside backers coming in, and he's doing a really good job. So that communication was good. Really defensively, everything stayed the same on the field with Coach Wiley down there and Coach Curry down there. So all that fit real good, and so just looking to keep progressing with our staff, and as we become closer together with the new guys coming in.
How has Coach Curry developed in this role? Start for you at Wake Forest, go to the National Football League, about number 4 pick, I think. Injuries, unfortunately, it took out his career. But how has he developed into a coach?
He's really done a really good job. He coaches a lot like he played. It's full tilt all day, every day, and that's what you want. He's really done a good job of learning and trying to learn defensive line play, and he's really done a good job with those guys. I've been real proud of him, but he coaches like you played. It's on every day, intensity level, and that's what you need. The guys need that, and they need to see that.
Yeah, and I love that about your staff is there's so many different personalities come together, and Coach Curry is that guy that he's a motivator.
Yeah.
He's loud. His voice is bigger than anyone else's on the field, and especially for that defensive line position, I think it's critical you have a leader, a guy out there that's that really gets those guys fired up.
Yeah, I've always said, quarterback's really hard to play, but the toughest position physically on the football field to play is D-line. You're asking guys to, lean on each other all game, and then at a clock drive at the end of the half or a clock drive at the end of the game, now I got to go rush the quarterback and at the most tiring point of the game. So there's no easy way to play D-line from a physical standpoint. I mean, it's got to be on all day, every day, and AC's done a good job with those guys.
Yeah, I think he's done a good job of keeping them focused and active and rotating guys, because I know as an offensive lineman I could cut guys. I was on the backside of a play. There's different times I can take a play off, even though I'm not showing.
It's not a good attitude, Kevin.
No, but it's for real. I'm being real.
He's being truthful here.
Yeah, but then, the defensive line, you can't. I mean, Coach Wallerstadt's not going to tolerate anybody loafing or walking to the place, and Coach Curry has done a great job getting those guys fired up.
And the other guy that's done a really nice job, Johnson Richardson, made him the offensive line coach, so he had a role change. He's done a good job as well, going into a situation. And I've just been real proud of him, too, the job he's done replacing Coach Ratliff there. So that's been a good positive as well.
And when Coach Curry came over, how do you know, looking at these guys, former players, I'm sure former players will come up all the time, hey, I'd love to coach, but that all right, this guy, I know he's going to make it work.
You never really know. And so it worked out where the one year we had Coach Dayton left, I never replaced him. I just coached the linebackers myself. I made AC the GA that year. He was my GA. And so with all the stuff I have to do as a head coach, it worked out. And so I kind of just turned it over to him. So he got to sit in there with me again, kind of brought him along the way I wanted to, and then just kind of turned it over to him in that year, in that fall of 2014. And so he just got to come along, and just done a good job of just bringing him along. And so it was easy to see, once he got in the room, and he's done a good job.
almost out of time, but Terrence Winchester, I know he got banged up. It was an amazing catch there in the corner. He had good coverage on the play, but what's the latest?
He did. He's day-to-day right now. I don't know that he'll play this weekend. We're going to leave him in the lineup right now and see how he progresses throughout the week. It's really going to be a strength and pain tolerance issue for him and his shoulder.
All right, here you go. Goldmine Live, episode 2 in the books. Don't forget, next week, back at Norm's in the Student Union. Kevin will be ready to eat the Bow Time Challenge. So if you're a student and want to come out to Norm's, try to go to 2-0 and take down his winning streak. Coach, appreciate the time as always. Best of luck this Saturday against Elon.
Thanks, Bob. Appreciate it.
There you go. Head coach Brad Lambert, Kevin Donnalley. I'm Bobby Rosinski. Matt Swearad will have the call Saturday afternoon. Charlotte and Elon, 6 o'clock kick at Jerry Richardson Stadium. This has been Goldmine Live from Ailes University on the Charlotte 49er IMG Sports Network.